Okay. So this week, I just it's about like when I talked about the word of wisdom in agriculture.
Yeah.
And so looking at like the thing I watched last week for the portfolio, I watched that Food Incorporated, the portfolio assignment, and talked a lot about like the genetically modified foods and how much kind of it's done to everything.
Yeah.
And looking at what he said about how some people see it as messing with Mother Nature and how we're playing God by trying to do all of this stuff. But when I look at it, they found ways to feed people, like feed as many people as possible with the least amount of food.
Yeah.
And so,
Which, in some ways I agree that it is, kind of playing with God, but like with God's power, but I don't think that's necessarily bad.
yeah.
Depending on how you're using it.
See, not only that, but he's letting, like, it's most of the time it's not really harming us.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I mean, yeah, there's lots of people down here on Earth right now, and we've don't necessarily have the space for all the food. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, he wouldn't have let us develop this technology unless it was something that we needed.
Yeah.
And so, because people can say that though, like doctors and stuff play God.
Yep.
But I mean, the scientists are feeding people, making it possible so that we're all able to eat.
Yeah. And I like what you said about, the scientists and the doctors, that also playing with God, and no one complains when they get vaccine. Well, most people don't complain about vaccines and to keep people alive, but if they didn't have food, they'd be dead just as quickly as if they. Yeah.
Yeah, like if we didn't have all of this genetic modification, there's no way we'd be able to keep up with the amount of people that we have.
Mm-hmm.
There would not be enough food at all.
Yep.
I think that's why, especially with North America, why we have so many, I guess it's a high mortality rate, I guess is what it is. I'm trying to remember how it goes, but like more babies survive because we have more food. And we have more access to things rather than those other countries where there's not as much. Because there's not a lot of food, the babies don't get nutrition and more babies die.
Yep.
I mean,
and because we have genetically modified food, we don't need as much space for like farms and places to grow food.
Yeah.
So we can have the cities which let us do more research and development into stuff that can keep us alive.
Yeah, and especially with a lot of Mormon families having so many kids, being able to feed people with like not the cheapest way possible, but like still hold the nutritional value on the best price you can get.
Yeah.
Helps out a lot.
And another big thing with a lot of Mormon families is food storage.
Mm-hmm.
And if the foods weren't genetically modified in some way, a lot of them wouldn't be able to store as well, and it'd be hard to, have a year's supply of food or even a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Because I know not just the genetic modification, but even the like preservatives and stuff that we can put in our food, and the methods of canning now also helps with that. And I mean, food's a big part of everything in the LDS culture, so why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, all right. So the next thing that it said about Luke is money in the LDS culture. I did think that was interesting because it's kind of like a hush-hush topic. You pay your tithe, you don't say anything, and So, but it's true. Like if you pay your tithing and you make money to pay tithing and everything else, you're considered righteous. And
Mm-hmm.
if you don't pay tithing, which means you don't make money or make a lot of money or whatever, then you're not.
When I was reading this, one of the things I thought of was, in the Book of Mormon, they have the pride cycle where, the people have faith in God and they become and then lose all their riches and all that stuff they have and do that again. And I think that's maybe part of where this idea comes from. Because, if you're trusting in God in the Book of Mormon, the culture was doing well. So I think a lot of people, kind of think that's how it is.
Yeah, especially since money in our culture is, I say, because our temples are very elaborate.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, I'm trying to think of it. Like with, each area is now starting, like a bunch of places are starting to get temples now, and they're very elaborate. They put the best into them and everything else. And that shows not only like as a church that we're wealthy, but like it's a way of showing Heavenly Father that we're using the best that we can.
Yeah.
And so I know that even with different people at church, I've noticed too that they use like their clothes, like the way they dress and everything to reflect, or at least I noticed this more in like the Utah, Idaho area. People would dress to make you think that they make more.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you didn't have nice church clothes, then you just kind of reflected on you because we're supposed to wear our best. And so I know some people that they put more money into the stuff that they would wear to church. At least make sure they had nice church clothes and didn't care about the other stuff that they wore. Because at least for church, they wanted to look nice and presentable. And if they had the best clothes, then they were perceived as more righteous.
Yeah, it's not something I've noticed, but something I definitely believe, that people do. Because even not in the LDS culture, a lot of people, if they have money, they'll want to buy, the expensive stuff, even if they can't really afford it. So the rest of the world thinks that they're rich.
Yeah, I've noticed that where I live, that there's quite a few people or different groups that they can't afford like a bunch of nice houses and stuff. They can't afford a nice house, but they will have a nice car.
Mm-hmm.
And live in like a really rundown neighborhood. So when they go to work, they're portraying higher than what they are.
Yeah.
And so I think that maybe in the LDS, like in different areas in the LDS culture, that's true, depending on where you are.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Looking at the next one that he had on here was with the little thing and saying how does it fit with LDS culture. It says, we recognize that food matters to our families, our communities, and our planet, as our food choices affect the physical, social, and environmental fabric of our lives. How does that fit with the LDS culture? Well, we revolve around food.
Mm-hmm.
And so it definitely matters because... No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like when I read that, I thought of the word of wisdom again because, we're told, okay, eat this, eat your fruits and your vegetables and eat your meat sparingly. And like, it doesn't tell us exactly what to do, but it gives us that guideline that affects our food choices and what we eat and all of that.
Yeah, and then with that, it helps us to, because then we're not blowing money on tobacco and
Mm-hmm.
alcohol and everything else that just sucks people dry. And so with that, we're able to afford more. And those who don't, like, especially like with like coffee and different things, I know that can take a lot of money out of people. And so for us, it's, you've got the money there because you're not spending as much on the things that cost more.
Yeah, and that's something I see a lot where I live. 'Cause I live in a place with a lot of Native Americans, and the Canadian government up here will implement this thing to give some of these people a lot of money because they were forced to go to these schools when they were younger and then were abused.
Mm-hmm.
So to compensate for that a bit, they give them a lot of money. And we've had a couple of people, not members of the church, but a couple of people I know from work, as clients, who would get like close to $100,000, and then just a couple months after getting that money would be back on the street begging for money or coming to ask my boss if they could give them $20 for a bus ticket because they spent all of that money on tobacco and alcohol and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I know that that's something that means a lot with us, because especially since we revolve around food. I know in different countries and stuff, when people have the missionaries over, they pretty much, they take everything they have and they put it into that meal to feed the missionaries.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of just to show appreciation. And I've seen people do it to pretty much also show their standing in the church in a way of I'm well off, I'm righteous, I'm good because I have all of this good food for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a way, and it helps out with the
I think like maybe another reason they prepare these really nice foods for the missionaries to show, look at me, I'm helping these people, these young men and young women who are here serving the Lord, therefore I'll be extra blessed, sort of, because I'm helping these people.
Especially because the missionaries live so modestly.
Mm-hmm.
Having the members give them these, feed them these more elaborate dinners at times can be something, in a way, showing missionaries what they can achieve outside. Once they're done, once their sacrifice is over.
Mm-hmm.
And so by remaining righteous, these are the things that you can achieve.
Yeah.
So. Is there anything else that you've thought of through these things, either reading or?
Nope, nothing else comes to mind.
Okay, same here. It's where I'm kind of just like, all right, that's what I've got.
Yeah, this was a pretty short one, I thought.
Yeah, because it went along too. So.
Yeah.
Okay. I say next week's, so far it's still looking good that I'll be able to do one for next week.
Okay.
After the week after, we may have to work something out. But I've already emailed him, and he said that if we need, we can get an extension on stuff, and for this. So
okay.
Hopefully everything goes well, and I can make sure that we have everything either in advance or.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work out, that's completely fine.
Yeah, and
meetings are obviously a lot more important.
Yeah, and so he may, if I let him know in enough time, he may try to have you meet with another group, or just let us meet later.
Yeah.
And combine them. But all right, that's good. I will let you know for the one for next week.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, see you then.
Bye.
Bye.